Dear Venerable Sisters and Brothers, Dhamma friends, today is the third day in our retreat. As far as the question and answer session is concerned, the second session. So, as I introduced last time, we are going to start the session with the written questions, with the invitation, cordial invitation, if anyone waiting for any questions to the session, that is also invited. And meanwhile, we'll invite Dulip to present the question one by one to the session.
Bhante, with your permission. The first question is, please explain the correlation between the video, the autopsy video you were shown, and Buddhism.
There is an international joke behind that video telecast, because it was a very interesting one. When I first time visited Canada, I saw, beforehand I had some few clips, and with so much of it I found the video, and we were showing it to the Sri Lankan Sinhalese medium retreats, and everyone find very difficult to understand it because it is in Sinhala. So with so much of difficulties, we send it to Melbourne and cut off all the commentaries and talks and introduce Sinhalese caption. And that very Sinhalese thing is now showing in the English medium retreat for the fourth time. No coordination. So this time also, while it is running, I think that is what happened in the same time also. I was meditating up there. I remember this time also they will be showing this Sinhalese version to the people. Some of you do not know, have any single understanding. And then I asked the coordinator. He told, I don't know. I have no any awareness about any English medium one. Then I told, English medium one is the original one. And now after the session, I gave it to him, the English one. Luckily he came soon after the video, and asked him how was the orientation. And he also raised the same question, Bhante, what is the meaning of this, the body exhibition to this Buddhism? For in Sinhala or in the traditional way, this is a kind of very vivid exposure of the repulsivity of the body. But of course this video is not meant for that, and it is done by the Gunther von Hagen, and he first time innovated a method known as plastination. So he knows how to plastinate the muscles as such in the same color and the same texture with using the silicon and other chemicals. Now he opened up the body and showed it to the living people. This is what happened inside your body. And he shows, there are other videos also, how is the digestive systems, how the reproductive system, how the circulation, everything one by one. He is showing to the university students, and they are lively. And this is a kind of an exhibition. In America, in each and every city, they had that exhibition. And Sri Lanka cannot afford for that kind of exhibition because it is 4 shiploads of artifacts. So each and every main city in USA they have shown it, but Sri Lankans are very happy with it to see what is inside the body. And one thing is, it is informative regarding the anatomy of the body, and religious-wise it is showing the repulsivity of the body and different postures and kind of thing. Only the apology is that with all difficulties we made it Sinhalese and showing it to the English people. So it is, that question is quite natural. But I hope next time we will try to show the English one, but it is available now. I gave it to the Reggie and I asked him asked the audience whether they wish to see the original English one, that is to learn about the plastination and the anatomy. And I apologize for this mistake. It's an international mistake. And sorry for that. Short answer for the question is, this is showing a cross-section or kind of a partial indication about the repulsivity of the body.
Bhante, Venerable Bhante, not so long ago I lost both my husband and mother to cancer. My husband lived less than 6 months after diagnosis and my mother for 12 years after diagnosis. Death is very final. Both my husband and mother were the two main people in my life. I am following the path of Dhamma, however, I feel abandoned, alone and vulnerable, especially in these times of immense greed, hatred and violence surrounding us. Bhante, can you please share with me and the rest of the audience helpful guidelines, tips and advice in how to maintain my equilibrium in life and feel light-hearted and happy? Thank you. May you be blessed and protected by the Noble Triple J.
So I had my experience with my father in 1980. And we were coming from the very poor family. And at that time there were no much of diagnostic facilities also. But luckily I had one of the, my batchmate was one of the specialist's son. And with his help I put in the private hospital as well as the government hospital. And without indicating, they told you can take your father and treat as you like, because that medicine is not answering. They recognize it as an ulcer, but it is a stomach cancer. And I saw day by day he is deteriorating, reducing to the skeleton. And my father is a very tough person, no relationship with the children. But once he fallen sick, still he maintained that lion-like character. And I was the only person out of 11 children close to him. So I took first-hand participation, always living with his body, massaging. I had only hot water and salt water. That's all I had the medicine, no other medicine. And giving him, and he is explaining the pain. And it's my task is to always massaging. So I sleep with him, and so I saw the deterioration. But recently I remembered the clarity of the mind. It is so sharp. He can explain the pain, because my father is such an enduring person, a breadwinner of a family of 11 children. And he was a daily paid worker. He know all the arts, all the crafts. And but therefore he never expressed his pain. But I can understand the way I related with him. And just before the night, he told, I got urine, got stuck. And he told, few hours time I am going to leave. So therefore I am very thankful for you all, because you have taken a first-hand attention. Then I told, don't make jokes. You are not going to die. You must have the positive thinking. No, never mind. I am sharing with you all the kind of thing. And following the morning, he passed away. And it was my 75th or 6th year. Then I told, this whole world is a joke. Because by that time, I have broken all the precepts intentionally to test. And I am in the robust health. My father was a holder and person preserving all the precepts, raising 11 children, and I see in front of me how he is suffering. Then what is this world? What is this called so and good and bad? What is the world? The good begets good and the bad begets bad. Then I thought, no use of going to university. This is the stark truth. So lucky enough, my mother started to cry, and she told that never make another funeral at the house. You better go and take your degree. You are the only son in our family to take a degree. So then I made up my mind to just go and just face the exams and kind of thing. So I told education is the utter foolishness. The benevolence, the good, everything is just mere bubble, soap bubble. It can break any time. So first time I met Venerable Dhammajiva from Australia, I told Bhante, whatever the way you are going to justify the morality, I have lost my faith. What is this? I am a 100% immoral person. You can see my robust health. I am ready for anything. You can see my father. You don't know, but he passed away. He was such a role model. This is what it happened. And he is the only person, lucky enough, without taking me to the religious, without making to the emotional side, he told mindfulness. Be mindful. So then I asked, what do you mean by mindful? Be aware of it. Be with it. Be present with it. Then what about my immorality? Never mind. Even if you are immoral, you can be mindful. Then I told, are you Buddhist? Yes. So how can you tell that person to be mindful, being immoral? So it took long time for him to say, once you become mindful only you will understand the value of the morality. Physical and verbal conduct. Otherwise you are doing just for the sake of doing. Just for the sake of the show off. And therefore don't worry about that. Be mindful like. So when I keep on, Dulip can understand. Dulip's mother, she shared with me very much. She took part in the retreat at the early time, and they were trying hard, their mother, to meditate. And she told me, my children, they don't understand. I have done my meditation and merits as much as possible. Now I have no fear. I take my time at home, even though I am not going for the retreats. So ask them to take their own business. And then he mentioned me, it's a cancer in the pancreas, only 2 months. So I paid a visit, I had lunch, and I asked the mother, but he was weak, but completely in a formal shape, in the mental. So when I was in America, he phoned me and told, mother passed away. Then I asked, how about you? No, okay, but I am fairly okay. Then that's all. That's it. Nothing to worry. And then a few other cases happened, and and recently we found a malice situation in our Loku Hamdro's liver. Of course, yesterday they cleared it is completely normal. It is a news for you all. And Loku Hamdro, you can see, even if you are going to say that you are with cancer, he says, then what? So I am in heaven, I am in the sky. Whether cancer come or not, whether I die or not, I don't mind. And compared to that, with this kind of a situation, you can impose any amount of worries, you can impose any amount of doubts, that is up to you. But of course, I will not talk so with confidence. If I am inflicted with the cancer, I may be somewhat different. But Venerable Mahinda, when I was in Melbourne, he told, we had the panel discussion, and he told, when and where your family doctor going to say you, there's a fast growing tumor in your brain, then only then you think about the wholesome food. Then only think about the yoga exercises. Then only you try to be mindful. So therefore he says, if everyone going to get a cancer, it is good. Otherwise we are in a go-go show. Mad world. And that is the only stark thing. You get your body size image mirror and you see a cancer patient, then you can understand what is after all going to happen. So whenever your dear and near one goes, it's a partial death of you. And slowly you are deteriorating. So, but cancer is a very good eye-opener for someone to take it as a urge, to develop the urgency, and mind own business. Even if it is coming to you, can't help. Krishnamurti, after so much of spiritual life, had the cancer. So we can cry, we can be mourning and everything if we are free of that. But no assurance. No assurance. Anytime we can be vulnerable, and how much we are ready for that. Only the cancer is going to give that this much of months and this much of months, then you develop so much of eruption. And Vidruvan, who put up this, the Yadiyantara Meditation Center, also had a very robust young son, reported brain cancer, only 2 months, passed away. And they don't know what is the life. I have earned so much of this is my best treasure. And he was died and I was lying in the Melbourne cemetery. So then what is my aspiration, motivation, where to live and why should I live? So therefore, mind you, we all are cancer patients, we don't know the date. Whenever you come to know the date of your parents or your lovely one or died, then only we develop urgency. So therefore, the Buddha says, when someone is having a turban on the head and if it is burning, how much urgency you have to remove it and save yourself. More than that, you must be mindful not to miss even a single thought moment. Try to be mindful. And therefore, these are omens, good omens to indicate what is the use of this go-go show. What's the use of this external show-off? Internally, we are all vulnerable. So therefore, I can recommend that book, You Can Conquer Cancer by Ian Goller. And he says, if the person is positive towards the cancer, he can heal it by his own mental power. And there is a success rate. And he has the Goller Foundation and he is teaching, part and parcel of it is mindfulness, meditation. And therefore, when and where someone is succumbed to that kind of situation and entertaining doubts and the heart is down, then your vulnerability will be increasing. But if you can have a kind of a remembrance, a kind of a history that I have been mindful earlier than that, and I have my memory, then you can just think about the mindfulness as you are a patient or as you are a relative, dear and near one to your the patient, and be mindful, and then it is creating kind of a good vibration. I know number of cases, they pump their good vibrations by chanting Pirit, that is our natural way or religious way, and attending with the positive face. Looking at the patient with the positive face. Don't look at with the discouraged face, and that is the worst thing for the patient. So you must understand this is what's going to happen. Not everyone, but that is now becoming a main reason. And make it a point to make yourself, make urgency to be mindful. And when and where you are treating that kind of a person, of course, this is a case that already happened. And if you have a positive thinking, there is a chance that recovery rate also increasing and your preparedness for the death. So I read different versions of the book known as Where There Is No Doctor, written by Warner. And at last chapter he says, if you know this patient is going to die, now accept it. No more medicine, no more hurrying, no more the frustration. Be prepared with the patient, and you will see. He says the patient, if you read really, patient is ready now. Specifically, if the patient is the elderly person, he is ready to accept the death. The close relative person is the one rejecting it, and therefore it's a very good psychological exercise. But of course you must have fairly developed confidence, fairly developed mindfulness, fairly developed preparedness for that kind of thing. Otherwise the near and dear one's death will be a partial death for you. So therefore make it a point. My humble request is to be mindful when and where that memory comes into you. Make that memory sandwich between two mindful thoughts. I am repeating, when and where this bad memory comes, try to sandwich that bad memory in between two mindfulness thoughts. Then in between sandwich, memory will be dissolving. Beginning mindful and then the disappointment and again the mindfulness. Likewise, if you can make it more frequent, that the disappearance, your regret will slowly weaned off. It must be often, beginning at the end must be mindful, in between let it happen. This is the healing process, this is the free association, and that is the way we can make use, already develop mindfulness in order to have this catharsis, the getting rid of this disappointment or regret, and try to develop a healthy mind.
Next question, Bhante. Dear Bhante, at the beginning of a sitting, I am mindful of the rise and fall at the abdomen and also the touching point of my seat. Once mindfulness is established to a point, I feel my mindfulness is still, which happens suddenly and takes me by surprise, and I feel I am looking into another dimension. This happens a few times in a sitting, but not in all of my sittings. How shall I proceed? But on several of my other sittings, especially towards the evening, my body feels very fixed, but not my mind. I feel I cannot sit for long during the evening sittings. Thank you.
Fairly good information that you have to understand, to be mindfulness and to be aware that I am mindful, completely two phenomena. First thing is to be mindful, and the second thing is your awareness that I am mindful. And its interpretation is the animal is known as Homo sophia. I don't know whether I am pronouncing properly. That's the way in evolution man is known Homo sophia. That means knowledge, that he is knowledgeable. All the animals like elephants and the dolphins and kind, they are knowledgeable, but they do not know. Exactly the thing, when you become mindful, chemical changes happen, but the moment you comes to know that I am mindful, your awareness, it's a complete crowning of the same thing, a galvanizing of the same thing, a reinforcing of the same thing, and then you can declare. I can be face to face with breath, I can be face to face with the rising and falling, I can be face to face with the in-breath and the left and the right, like at the predictability, the foresight going to start. And then you find, earlier also it would have been there, but you have not recognized it. You are not aware of it. That awareness, is that the reinforcing power, the galvanizing power of this awareness is the only one going to give the confidence you. Sometimes when the things are aligned, mindfulness come into being, and then your very awareness appreciate it, recognize it, or cognize and recognize it, and then you find there's another kind of a mastery, another kind of a controllability on the mindfulness going to happen. So this is how it is reinforcing slowly, and even if it is occasionally happening, you find the shifting of the paradigm. You can see from the different perspective, or you can see boundlessness. You can see the word-wise you can explain it, and this is there. And if the day you recognize or be aware of your mindfulness, then you can question, with your age, does that mindfulness, awareness of the mindfulness become old age? Does that change from morning to evening? Sitting to walking and standing and sleeping? Does it carry any maleness, femaleness? Does it carry any kind of a religious, Buddhist, non-Buddhist kind of thing? Nonsense. First time when I was in Nilambe, I thought, okay, now I tried my best, but all of a sudden came a kind of a confidence. Now I can declare, I can say, I am mastery, that I know that I am mindful. I can predict a number of breaths going to happen, definitely I will beat it. Not permanently like. It immediately simile came to my mind was, can I remember the first day I stuck a pure salt into my tongue and get the taste of the salt. Does that taste of the salt change according to my age? Does that taste of the salt changing from the male to female? Morning to evening? No. Taste of the salt is the salt. Everywhere. So likewise the mindfulness is kind of a universal language cut across among humans. That is the only point you become human. All the other time you are a beast. You are in a dream. You are in a show-off. You are in an imitation. So when you are coming to the mindfulness, not only the mere mindfulness, but the awareness of the mindfulness, you are the Buddha. But you can understand how vulnerable it is. Again the alignment goes and you are nowhere. You find, what a loss that earlier I was mindful, now I am not mindful, and I know I am not mindful, but at that time I was mindful, on top of that I am aware of the mindfulness. So this is the kind of door opening, showing you the potential, you can be the Buddha. But then the Buddha says, you have to use the common sense, how to make it more seasoned, frequently. Let it happen again and again, each and every time it is electric. Each and every time it is circumstantial. So you give up anything for this mindfulness to recurrent. You have to have recurrent mindfulness. Not only that, to be aware of it. And the Buddha give yet another kind of simile. He says, a child up to the age 6 may be mindful, but that poor fellow do not know. So no results. But now we have spent the time unmindful is for so long time, and one day the Buddha come and say, hey darling, try to be mindful, and we try our best, and sometimes we mindful, we do not know, and luckily on the occasion it happened, I am mindful and I know. You think about the communication. How to communicate this kind of a thing from to person and to myself to my mind. So this communication is the lost one. That is why we are in a frustration. That's why we are in a completely jumble, completely mixed up. But it is under your very nose. Anytime it can happen. So Mahasi Sayadaw is explaining, he says according to the very detailed sub-commentarial and commentarial and Abhidhamma way, he says, Bhavanga Chalana, Bhavanga Upachcheda, Panchadwara Vajjana, Vattapana, Panchadwara Vajjana, Sampatichana, Vattapana. He says, when and where a signal, impingement come into the mind, it has to go through such a long process to establish this is it. First it is cognition, and then the recognition happen. Then only it become a substantial piece for our mind to store. Just like you put the proposal, budget proposal to the parliament, it has to debate and discuss 3 times, then only it becomes constitutional. Exactly the way mind is running, it's a very split second, it is called thought moments, running the same thing, and to get the establishment, that recognition, a reification. And then onwardly you can say, now I fairly, vaguely understand the mindfulness. But then the heavy duty, heavy responsibility come upon each and everyone's head. How can I repeat it? How can I make it frequented? Again and again. Then Buddha says, I don't know. He washes his hand and go away. He says, use your common sense to repeat it again and again. And whenever you happen to see another person who experienced the same thing, then telepathic connection can take place. His mind and your mind, the telepathic can take place, because both of them are working in the same vibration. Otherwise, we are in a complete different frequencies. So whenever come to the mind, not only the simple mindfulness, but awareness, very awareness of the mindfulness, or refined mindfulness, or recognized mindfulness, you are directly with Buddha, directly with Dhamma, you are directly Sangha, and your virtues are perfect. But next moment that is fallen. So this is what you call mastery. So this is a very good, experience. But the responsibility is, try your best to make it available in sitting, walking, standing, lying down, or changes of postures, and ultimately you will find all your tapestry of life is painted upon this canvas. This is the canvas. Upon that only all the diagrams, all the paintings happen. You are always just looking at the painting. You would never see the canvas. Once you see the canvas, you can't do away with seeing it again and again. Then the Buddha says it is the biggest addiction in the world. Once you come to know that I can be mindful, you try your best again and again to be mindful. So therefore this is the best dowry, best gift, best endowment if someone give it to your dear and near one, or the children, or the parents, or the relatives, or the friends. And then we are go beyond the time and space, paradigm, shifting the paradigm. But internalization of the same is completely different story, but this is a very good experience, and in a retreat we never expect more than that. It's exactly enough, fair enough, or if someone can go up to that, and we are very happy as a Nissarana Vanaya or meditation center if we can communicate up to that level. Thank you for the statement.
Venerable Bhante, when I practice sitting meditation at home, I always felt burning sensation in my head. But here I don't feel such pain. Why is it so, Bhante, with metta?
We have black magics. We know how to do it, so nothing to worry. Come again and again. We have an air conditioning machine to your mind. Now we are planning to fix air conditioning machine to this hole. Dulip is so inefficient doing it. I am pressing and pressing and pressing, still he is finding BOQ, estimates and all the kind of thing. But I try my best to fix an air condition to the mind or to the heart, and then some kind of burnings can be reduced. But I am just giving it a glimpse, not a permanent facility. It's just an advertisement trailer, just to provoke you all. Nothing to worry, whatever may be, make use for your well-being as much as possible. Each day is not a Christmas day. When and where such a comfort happen, try to be immediate with your object, be vigilant and diligent and steadfast mindfulness, and then make use the chance as much as possible. Be opportunist.
Venerable Bhante, while in walking meditation, after few minutes, a vibrating sensation appears on my upper lip. This becomes very prominent in some walking sessions. Should I continue with walking or change to sitting? That's the first question. Second one, swinging rhythmical movement and a subtle vibrating sensation is felt within the whole body after a few minutes in sitting. When this happens, should I observe the breath or the swinging vibrations? It appears that these sensations are present even when lying down and doing other day-to-day work. Kindly advise with metta.
So that traditionally it says, whenever the alignment takes place, the faith, the energy, the mindfulness, the concentration, there's a kind of a physical witnesses, and they appear like the heat, vibrations, light, sounds, many ways. They are quite strange things, but it's a very clear, unique feature. They never disturb you. They never become unbearable. Of course, it is something strange happens. So therefore, you have to understand now alignment is taking place. The task that you are performing, if you are sitting, trying to be with the breath or be with here now I am. Or in the walking, left leg, right leg, or understanding I am walking, not sitting. Kind of get this as a gift, as an endowment, and try to maintain this, your maximization with the primary object. And more you do it in a precise way, these vibrations appear like a massaging your body. It is like giving a sauna bath and the massaging light. So each and every cell, each and every organ, each and every tissue going to get kind of thing. So therefore it is a sign, but it is not. It is a quite immature sign of a concentration. This is rather a vipassana kind of concentration. It is not a samatha conventional concentration, but anyway it is rejuvenating you, massaging you. So therefore don't make a fuss, be fussy with this endowment, with this gift. Use it as a encouragement and may have a close relationship, immediate relationship, continue to the relationship with your primary object. And whenever you develop this alignment, you can feel these things are accelerating, these things are amplifying, and more ultimately they become overwhelming, like a boiling milk pot going to happen. So some attribute these as 5 characteristics of the rapture. This is the point where the immature rapture going to become prominent, and if you develop the system without much disturbance, it is going to massage the whole body, and this overwhelming kind of rapture going to happen. But many newcomers, or when it is happening for the first time, many people get disturbed, do not know whether it's a good thing or bad thing. So by in the discussion and listening to Dhamma talks only, you gradually understand how to tackle that kind of thing. And later you find when and where you be here and now, and once you establish, this vibration indicates that you are at home. You are in the comfort, you are in the secured hand, and they indicate I am not dead, I am not sleeping, I am not unconscious. I am conscious about here and now.
Dear Bhante, following from an earlier question to you on this retreat, in my walking meditation, I am more aware of the coarse, hard surface and dampness under my feet, rather than mindful of the lifting, pushing and placing of the foot. Can I be only aware of the elements, but sometimes I feel I am walking on my bones. It hurts. Please advise.
So this is explaining the same phenomena in 2 languages. One thing is the conventional language, the other one is absolute language. Conventional language, left leg, right leg, lifting, moving, dropping. In the absolute language, stiffness, tension, movements, heat, cold, they are elementary characteristics. So in the shifting time, sometimes you feel the left leg is lifting, and the lightness, the natural characteristic of lightness happens. Now you don't know whether it's to call lightness or lifting of the left leg. or the movement or moving of the right leg, left leg. Like the language is now changing. So general advice, rule of thumb is promote absolute language. Speak in terms of material, the elementary characteristic, stiffness, tension, movements, and heat, cold kind of. It is called sabhava in Pali, or bhava, or gati. So therefore now you are talking, not my left leg is right. You can see I feel lightness, I feel heaviness, I feel stiffness, tension, movement. Like your personality, your body organs become childish. Maturity is you are talking in terms of stiffness, tension, movements, and you can understand whether you sit or walk or stand or whatever may be. Every time this absolute language fill your day. You can understand your being by lightness, by heaviness, stiffness, tension, movements, and when and where you promote this absolute way of using, your tension can't stand. Tension reduces. Because this stiffness never recognize good and bad. Stiffness never recognize male, female. Stiffness never recognize a good omen or bad omen. Stiffness is stiffness. And you find this stiffness and what is you find outside, exactly the same. Heat you find inside the body and outside, exactly the same. Coldness you find in the body and outside, and what is the difference, what is the limitation, what is the boundary between the inside heat and outside heat? No boundary. So moment when that justified, recognize the tension, frustration, have no footing. So therefore, when and where you recognize me, mine and myself, you are talking with the conventional terms. My leg is lifted, moved and dropped. Whenever you are putting in the same thing in the absolute terms, you see, I felt stiffness, tension, movement, heat, cold. It is you are just a commentator about the game. And then the immediate benefit is no place, nowhere the frustration can get the footage, no establishment. So ultimately you find when and where you are talking in the language of the absolutes, it is not attractive. You never talk like. Whenever it is going to the conventional, you can make novels, comedies, tragedies, jokes and everything. But whenever you express the same thing in the absolute terms, it's just reporting in a very dry way, and your chattering mind will be immediately calmed down. Internal chatter as well as the external chatter. So that is a very good strategy you can use. More and more you talk in the conventional language, you become a chatterbox. You proliferate. Using too much of words, wastage of time. Instead, if you express that in the absolute language, people will not happy. What you are talking about, they will say you are talking is very dry. No convocation possible. No dialogue is possible. Because what you express is absolute truth. So therefore we are going round and round and round and round instead of telling the truth short and sweet. Who Panditas had always said, short to the point, short and sweet. Don't go exaggeration. That is the way you are proliferating your defilements. That's the way you give way for this chatter. So therefore when the Buddha explaining things in this absolute term, they turn the deep ear. They never listen. They can't listen. They don't like it. So he has to talk about the cock and bull stories, past life, and this joke and that joke. This is how he provoked the people for listening. Otherwise, whenever he is talking in the absolute, no one can listen unless otherwise person in the equal caliber. So whenever you are writing your interview reports, just see, this is the way I am writing in the conventional, and try to edit it. In absolute terms, you can reduce to 1/3 very easily the volume. But the thing is it is dry. Pandita Sayadaw used to say, it's just a piece of slice of white bread. You can't eat it, no jam, no cheese, no sandwich. Or otherwise just a pure white bone. No marrow bone, no flesh, no blood, no taste. So therefore people are not happy with Vipassana. They are very happy with cock and bull stories and this and that conventional. So slowly changing from the convention to the absolute, that is what you call the maturity in meditation.
Venerable Bhante, in the walking meditation, I focused on right and left as I was taught. I looked to find out whether there is a difference between left and right leg. Once I observed heaviness, bulky of right leg, and left leg was light. Then I thought that great amount of body weight go through the right leg. But next time, following the walking meditation session, that feeling is vice versa. Heaviness on left leg and lightness on the right. Earlier, same thing observed on the 2 feet also. Then I realized, though traditionally called left and right, there is no difference between them. Everything changes time to time.
So this is what happened for the politicians. At times they are leftist, at times they are right hand. So because according to the power, Machiavellianism, wherever they can establish the power, they use it. The power has two meanings. POWER power is for the electric power. In Sri Lankan, power is the opposite of pinna. That's the evil nature, the ill will or illness of this thing also known as power. So we are power crazy. We are always chasing behind power. Power means defilements in Sinhala, the power crazy. So whenever you walk, you find at a time you are leftist, at a time you are rightist, like a politician changing their parties. But only if you are a footballer, then you know exactly whenever the kick is there, which leg is you are using. If you are not a footballer, it is not your professional attention, so therefore you don't know. But it is embedded thing. Just like there are societies for the left-handist and the right-handed people. But majority of people, whenever a task comes, they use the right hand. So their right arm is stronger, more white in color, and more loaded with muscles. And the left hand is shorter and weaker. But if you are a left-handed, the other way around. It is fixed according to your liking and disliking, exactly the same, the right leg and the left leg, unless otherwise you are very sharp, very keen, you can understand you are about to jump, just like a hop, step and jump, you can understand which leg is going to take the upper hand. If you are a footballer and about to kick, you know which leg is you are using frequently. But if you are not with that kind of motivation, I appear like it is the same or changing, but anyway it is a good observation. It is sharpening your mindfulness, it is sharpening your comprehension. So when and where you are walking, the walking path, you see it is made flat, straight and with the sand bed. Imagine when you are climbing, and then you can understand whenever the climb happens from the flat, which leg is going forward. And if there is a downward slope down, which leg is going first. And if you have to jump, if you have to turn, if you have to go backward. So there's already embedded, coded system. So how much you must understand, how much to get them surfaced and see then and there. So that is how you try to be friendly with your body, be aware of your body, and then more and more you be with that you are not worried about the external distractions, but understand right leg, left leg. This is a very good way of promoting the mindfulness. So this is a very good observation. Don't conclude. Don't try to say that I am a leftist or rightist, but understand each and every time they are changing according to the circumstances.
Bhante, when the mind wander off and I notice it, then label it, isn't it already in the past? The here and now is my primary object. I have been noting in my sitting and walking meditation for a long time, and recently the mind has been curious if this is correct. Please advise. Thank you.
So you are very understanding about the past is happening present. You understand I am thinking about the thing happen, but that very contemplation happen here. So therefore you have to understand whether you try to be mindful or not, mind is here and now. And if you misunderstand, you go to the hell, you go to mad, you go to asylum. And you have to understand that whatever may be past and future, you can understand, you can tap, you can aware only in the present. Later only you are going to say, I am thinking about the past and the future, but the real manifestation, the real thing is happening here now. So there the Buddha says, something verifiable only in the present, and the past and the future, some notions, some perception you are going to fix it. So therefore, when and where you are thinking about the past, imagine thinking takes place here and now, under your very nose, and then you will understand you are born mindful. Only thing is you don't know. Always you are mindful. It's a birthright. Is it nothing to sit and cross-legged and be the white-clad and with the 8 precepts of the mindfulness? No. It is to corner all the other madness and to say this is mindfulness. And once you come into know face-to-face with the mindfulness, you see whatever the dirty thing you do, whatever the beautiful you think do, the mindfulness is there. The Buddha says, Satadipateya sabbe Dhamma. For all the phenomena taking place in the world, mindfulness is the leader. If you do not know, you misperceive, misproportionate, and mind get twisted. Whenever you have to understand good or bad, everything happen in present moment, and be aware this is happening under your very nose, and you may find that mindfulness has no any discrimination or sectarianism. So therefore these are philosophical questions, but even then there is a rational answer. Anything but happening in the present. Okay?
Bhante, this is a long question. I meditate on breath, noticing in and out breath. For a while felt long inhalation and short exhalation, cold in breath and warm out breath, and then disappeared in and out breath. I have nothing to notice, mind just be there, and thoughts just came and went off. Sometimes I thought whether mind was wandering, then at once I felt as if loafing.
As if?
Loafing, I think. Loafing. Yeah. How the mind, so calm, realize it is animitta samadhi. Meanwhile, I changed my posture. The process was continuing, and then my mind went into some state without noticing. But I noted it when some jerk happened in my body. The second day also the same thing happened several times. I felt now that this is the state of mind where no signal received, no breath, as well thoughts coming and going. But I don't know the starting point of that mind state. How can I identify onset of this state of mind? Before this retreat, I came across this phenomena and also noticed this in my day-to-day life. I previously did not know what it was. Later I listened to Bante's Pottapada Sutta. I am thinking that this is the stage of Neva Sanya, Na Sanya. Am I correct? How can I identify a rising point of this state? Third day I didn't notice it, and as soon as I sat to meditate, I felt the shaking of body. Sometimes I felt in and out breath with that shaking. Sometimes notice only the shaking of body. Sometimes just breath, cannot recognize in or out breathing. Sometimes notice in breath in one nostril and out breath from the other.
So this is a kind of a situation. You can't find the beginning, you can't find the middle, you can't find the end. Anything becoming a volitional sankhara, then only such a thing have beginning, the middle and the end. But whenever you go and sit and try to be here and now, without any object, without any noting, when you go to a seasoned place, if you are a seasoned yogi, you can just be here and now. It's already started, and you are just entering into, and sounds are happening, thoughts are, pains, and they come and go, but the canvas, the vibration never change. It is like a water, it has different waves, sometimes frills, sometimes big waves, sometimes tsunami, but the nature of the water is the base. And so you expect sometimes the water completely calm and quiet, but that is very rare it happens, unless otherwise it is a still forest pool, wind and everything changing, but everything is water. So once you recognize the nature of the water, you understand it as a frills or waves or tsunami or whatever it may be, and you once it becomes a frill, wave, tsunami, you have name. Otherwise you have to say just water. So our mind is always try to fix notions, perception, limits, label, all the kind of thing. But this phenomena, what the person is trying to explain, never subjected to that kind of limitations. That phenomena has no beginning, no middle, no end. So Buddha says, if at all you are to recognize, if at all you have to be with that notion, it is beyond time and space. Whatever happening within that, rising and falling, sounds, everything has its own particular names, particular shapes, particular manners. But the nature, the just being it is called. And once you recognize it, you may know the shortcuts to just be. Even in the midst of a big crowd, or in a forest, or you are solitude, this just being is always with. All the others are called distractions. But amidst of all the distractions, this being is there. So therefore, person who recognize it, person who knows shortcuts for that, amidst of all the parties and go show, he or she can be undisturbed with this wave. So in the Sinhalese instructions, it says at the end of the sitting session, it says, whenever you go and sit, if you come across with this kind of vibration or basic energies, don't try anything, don't note anything, don't depend upon any benchmark, any reference point, any object, just be with it. It is called just being. The most difficult thing in our life. Because we have been conditioned to do something. That's called willful doing. So therefore, Arthur Schopenhauer, he mentioned each will is evil. Each will is evil. This is the place where no will, it is something happening, you be aware. On top of that, lot of things happening, you don't pay respect, don't pay attention, just be with the just being. In Tamil it is called Summairi. Just be. So you have to first do away with intentional physical work, intentional verbal work, and then be aware the mental work, willful or volitional or non-volitional, and then understand even if you stop willful physical work, willful verbal work, difficult to stop willful mental work, but even then phenomena is taking place exactly in the same vibration. So then only you can understand what your willful thing is just nothing but the tip of the iceberg, but underneath the huge berg, due to their upward push only the tip become prominent. You only recognize it the tip, but the majority is underneath, and it is working not according to your agenda. It is working with the universal code. So once you neglect about the tip, and if you recognize it the total berg, you understand life is something happening by its own accord, and you have full rights to be a neutral observer. That is what we call the Vipassana yogi, full observant, vigilant and diligent, things are happening. That is called Taoism. This is called unshaken mind. This is called suchness in the mind. So it is so common thing, but we have make such a difference, such a distance, till it not possible in this very life, not possible in this dispensation. We have to wait till the next Buddha to come, and you are the person making a distance. So therefore, when and where you come to know that, try to facilitate it as much as possible, and you can see, my vocabulary, I call it a walkover. You win without a fight. You win without a rivalry. It is there. As far as there is a rivalry, as far as there is a fight, you are already lost. So Buddha is giving the path, shortcut for this walkover. But the thing is, our mind is even making doubt, entertaining doubt upon such a thing also. So therefore you have to familiarize, discuss and surface and free associate. Ultimately you find this is a birthright. Right from the beginning it was there. So you have to isolate other bad thing and let that just being to be overwhelming. Saying that is the maximum well-being you can do unto yourself.
Bhante, I am a foreigner from a non-Buddhist country, not taught to believe in rebirth. May you please say anything helping to come closer to this idea, truth?
The Buddha says it is not a must. He says, if you are a believer, good begets good and the bad begets bad, you feel kind of a moral responsibility. You are making the future now. So if you are bad, behave badly, if the rebirth and everything is going to work, definitely you are going to receive bad thing. So therefore you feel kind of a moral responsibility. But if you don't believe, you have no moral responsibility. You can do as you like, just like a beast. So when it is happening, if there is rebirth, and if you tighten your belts and restrain yourself and take moral responsibility, you try at least to reduce the bad thing, evil thing. Otherwise, no morality. So therefore, person immoral is more susceptible to violate the social norms than a person with the moral responsibility. So therefore, if you are believing and if such a thing is working, you are double positive. If you are not believing and taking everything into grant and good and bad is equally, then more chances to do bad things, and when the consequences are happen, two negative things. So therefore it is not a hard and fast thing to be all Buddhists to recognize and understand the rebirth, because it is something depending on the faith. No one can verify it. So if someone says it's the main thing in the Buddhism, he don't recognize Buddha. Buddha is something pragmatic, something verifiable, something concrete. And his teaching also, there is some mystical part, proportionately, inferentially, you can do it, forget about it, do what you do it here. And then, with your own little experience of the past and the future, you can understand good begets the good and the bad begets bad. If it is so, you believe it, but you have no any rights to impose that upon anything. Even the Buddha is do with all precaution. He is cautious. So, fundamentalists and the moralist, these, how can I say, these immoral beings impose this dirty thing in the Buddhism and ultimately make sectarianism. The Buddha has given it as a tool, but if you are a monkey, you will cut yourself with the tool. But if you are a carpenter, you know how to use the tool. So this is the way Buddha gives the complete pragmatic answer. If you have rights to accept it or not, but if you accept, you will be a morally responsible person. If you are not, more vulnerable to immoral things. So therefore, you have to understand with respect to the social norms, which is more cultured, more gentle, more refined, and that's it. No other thing. Don't make it a burden.
Dear Bhante, please explain the difference in technique for samatha and insight walking meditation.
Whatever may be, when you are walking, if you feel the elementary characteristics, I am not trying you to feel it, but if it is happening, that a fair indication, the inclination is more towards vipassana, insight. But if you know, I am not sitting, I am not sleeping, I am not standing, I am walking, but mind is collected, calm and quiet, you have no much of detailed understanding about the left leg, right leg, stiffness, tension, movements, that an indication, your inclination is more samatha, the concentration, but not towards the elementary characteristics. Even then mindfulness is there. In the breathing, if you can see the difference between the in-breath and out-breath in terms of the stiffness, tension, movements and color thing, that is indication you are a vipassana. But you can understand, my mind is not otherwise, it is with the breath, but I can't see the detail, discrimination or delimitation. That is a kind of a guess towards the samatha. This is the way at the early part you can guess it. But it is not a heavily technical thing, not a necessity. I am answering because of the question. Otherwise, please follow Ajahn Chah, was very famous in Thailand. He never recognized these two, samatha and vipassana. It is torturing your mind. You are tormenting your mind unwantedly by imposing this kind of formulas. Be mindful and mind your own business. Finished.
Venerable Bhante, can you please explain what is Sakkaya Ditthi? Whether it is I, me, mine. Please give an example. Thank you with metta.
No, Sakkaya Ditthi becomes whenever someone is self-centered and hurting others. Think this is my jurisdiction, don't tread past, I am so and so, is the worst case. You are creating transgressional kind of defilements, you have to suffer lots. So this is how our decision making happens. This is the peg. From that reference point only I find the in, out, close, far, all the kind of things. So this peg, the benchmark, the reference point is called Sakkaya. So all measurements are depending on the yardsticks and the reference points. So whenever you understand they are temporary, it is necessary, but there is no permanent benchmark, no permanent reference point. They are changing and evolving, and this thing, Sakkaya is not much vicious. It is not much causative. It is necessary for the life. But when and where become take in and out, and in is only justified, out is not like, that is a pathetic. Sakkaya Ditthi become pathetic and he create problem outside. This is the moral level. But in the concentration level, you understand the center And you understand within that center, bubbling happens, not yet manifested. But you can see it is obsessed with your mind. That is also because of me, not me relationship. In the Vipassana only you can experience, whenever you become aware of your mindfulness, no in and out, no me and not me difference, and that is a kind of a glimpse. The egoistic idea dissolved, not completely gone, it is diluted. This is how it's slowly disappearing in a meditative life, but still it is temporary. Again it assimilates into a self and again dissimulate. This change happen, so it is called changing nature. For a person with permanent notion, the dissolution is a threat. It's a phobia. It's a panic. It's a mental upset. But the person who prepared, it's an achievement in the meditation, and understand I can dissolve it, but still I can be mindful. So therefore, same thing can have different interpretation according to your perspective.
Venerable Bhante, first and foremost, excuse me for asking a question which is not relevant to the meditation. Please let us know whether avocado juice is okay to be taken as a gilampasa after 12 p.m.
Yeah, because it says the big fruits are no good, but if you are making avocado, don't take the sap as such, not the sap, the flesh as such. If you use it with the mixture and filter, no problem. So when you are making a fashion fruits, if you take the pulp, no good. If it is strained through, okay. But the big fruits like pineapple, the melon, and are not allowed. It is when you fist is the size. The big fruits are bigger than the fist. The small fruits are smaller than a fist, and the fruits in between, the avocado is something like the fist, so we can take it in. This is how it says, but they are not the direct teaching of the Buddha. This is the traditionally we fix, units. So therefore question is relevant as well as not relevant to the meditation, because they are so changing. End of the question, isn't it? Okay, thank you, Dilip. So we have taken 15 minutes overtime. So we have 15 minutes for walking, and another 15 minutes time we are going to have a gong for group sitting. Thank you very much for the participation.